All right, guys. Next topic. Leafs pulled off the deal that might put them over the top this week.
Why are you guys laughing?
At least that's what Leaf fans hope.
Number one, first round draft pick. Have you seen him play?
Let's talk about two things with the Bernier deal. First of all, is Bernier going to be the number one going into training camp, and is he going to be the number one guy next year? And did the Leafs give up too much to get him? So start with the first one.
Oh, wait, a third thing. What size is his ring finger?
Good point.
Absolutely.
All right, Sandra, what do you think?
No, they didn't give up too much because after Fratton missed that breakaway that could have clinched it, that he's worth nothing. Scrivens, anyways, no, that was a great trade. I think that for sure that next year that guarantees them a playoff spot, and he's the type of goalie that can get hot in the playoffs.
Would it be safe to say that only in Toronto could a guy who's only played 62 NHL games, has no real track record, there could be this much excitement about the acquisition? Has it ever happened before that a guy with this little experience has generated this much excitement?
Can engender the comment that says he's the
Francois
type of goalie
Aubin.
that can get hot?
Like this happens over and over again for Leaf fans.
Yeah.
Like every new goalie on the market, this is how they view it. It's like
It's
on
Steve
one hand,
Penny revisited.
Yeah. Steve
Well, no,
Penny,
they haven't been this excited since Wendell Clark's return.
Ken Reggett, Alan Bester. Any goalie can get hot.
So you'd rather, if it was
No,
a
I
straight up trade between Luongo and Bernier, you'd take Luongo.
No.
Okay, there you go.
So wait, guys,
I
we are
think it's
talking
a
about
good
somebody's
deal.
backup goalie. And that where are you going to go now with this backup goalie?
Vic,
Let's
hold on a
hear
second.
this.
You've said recently, like not too long ago, in fact, that Jonathan Quick is the best player to start a franchise with in the NHL.
That's
so
true.
If Bernier is Quick's backup, then that might make him the second best goalie in the NHL.
Okay,
That's
okay,
what
wait,
you're
yeah,
hoping
okay.
for,
So
Phil.
you're telling me that in Brett Favre's last year at Green Bay, if someone gave you the opportunity to take Aaron Rodgers, you'd say he's not proven yet.
No,
Excellent
because I liked
argument.
Aaron
Excellent
Rodgers
Thank
coming
you.
out
I
of college.
win.
Okay.
That's a good
The
point.
point
but
is, it might be a good. First of all, I think it is a good deal. I think it's a smart thing. Collect assets. I think it's a fair deal for both teams. LA gets helped out. The salary helps. Fratton's a potential top 6 guy. You might not like him because he missed one breakaway, but the Leafs obviously are not sold on Reimer.
That's what's
the
clear.
most
And if
apparent
Bernier
thing.
was such a great Aaron Rodgers type prospect, how did they swing him for a second round pick, Matt Fratton, and Ben, here's another rebound Scrivens? How did that happen?
Well, I think, from LA's standpoint, I'm not sure what they could demand for a guy who's only played 62 games.
Oh,
And
so you're
obviously-
making my point, Phil.
Well, yeah,
Sorry.
I'm saying there wasn't going to be a lot going the other way, I don't think.
It's just
but with
planning the parade route for a backup goalie is asinine. What could happen is a year from now, Bernier could be in the exact same spot. Bernier was supposed to be the heir apparent in LA. Quick becomes one of the best goalies
That
in the
happens
league.
all the time in
right.
hockey.
Reimer could take the next step. He doesn't have a ton of experience either, and he could become one of the elite goalies in the league, and Bernier's still riding the pine.
But I want to go back to what you said, and that is the question about, what they gave up, et cetera. Like, if Bernier is the guy, if he's so highly touted, it's not like there's a ton of goaltending out there in the NHL right now. You would figure that there could have been some kind of bidding war for this guy if he is everything that he is.
Thank you
But
for
where was
re-emphasizing the point I made 5 minutes ago.
Where
Thank
was
you.
the bidding war for Roberto Luongo? Like, it just seems to me that either teams, maybe there isn't as big a goalie problem shortage in the league, or else teams just aren't willing to give up.
Well, there
Okay,
aren't
but
a whole lot of great number
but
one
also,
goalies out there.
isn't
Roberto
Bernier a free
Luongo-
agent next year or something? So
Wait a
a
minute,
lot of
guys,
teams aren't going to
guys.
a lot of teams
true.
don't have the money to want to have to pay this guy if he turns out to be that
Yeah,
good.
Leafs already
Right,
gave him
and
a
Roberto
qualifying.
Luongo has a 10-year,
Terrible contract,
a noose around his neck kind of contract.
Yeah.
So forget that.
But it seems like goaltending, more than any other position, is very subjective to the management teams. It's like some teams are in love with these guys as prospects. It looked like Burke seemed to be very fine with Reimer. gives him the contract.
He was just covering himself.
Guys.
And you know what? Notice is they've been working on this guy Bernier now for about a year, so that would include Burke too, right?
You know, that reminds me of the time I think they stashed Yuri Surha in some locker and then drafted him out of Czechoslovakia, Sandro. That's what it sounds like once again.
Look, I've seen the highlights. This guy's got the look.
Well,
He's
that's
got
a
the
goal.
look.
Okay,
I think I
goalie.
heard
And
that
who was the
years
last
ago.
guy that had that
I haven't
look,
said.
Sandro?
I always said Reimer does
I
not
think
have the
Justin
look. Reimer
Fogey
does
had
not
that
look
look
confident.
a few years
Reimer's
ago.
never
Where's
looked
Justin Fogey?
confident to me.
I think he's out of the league.
Well, for sure he's out of the league,
Like,
but I'm
I'm not
wondering,
even
like,
sure he's playing in the AHL.
I don't think he's anywhere. I think what it shows, Paris is right, that clearly there's a lack of confidence in James Reimer in the organization. Clearly, whether it's Randy Carlyle or Dave Nonis, clearly they're not sold that Reimer is
But he
the
wasn't.
guy.
He was never
And yet
one
he
of
had
their
a great playoffs.
Yeah, but he was never their guy, right?
He had a what?
He
Phil?
wasn't there. Like
He had a very good series against Boston.
Reimer was. They didn't bring in Reimer. They didn't scout Reimer. They didn't
True.
bring Reimer in. So he's not their guy. They don't feel any commitment to him. And I think you see that quite widely across sports, where if guy isn't your guy.
It's
Like
very
Berkey brought in
subjective.
his guys when he was on. He brought in guys he had in Anaheim and different places.
So, who plays the bulk of the games next year? Who plays more games in goal for the Leafs next year?
Well, if they're smart, it's whoever plays better.
What's
you
your
have to
what's
give
your
Reimer
prediction?
the keys to
The-
start, don't you? He
pund-
finished the season.
pundits are saying that it's a no-brainer that Bernier's it's his job to lose unless he stinks in preseason. I think that's asinine if that's the deal.
Okay.
I think you've got two good assets now. You let them fight it out.
But if you want to use, let's say, a football comparison, maybe it's unfair and you can banter this around, but a starting quarterback has a decent year. They bring in a new quarterback out of college who, for all intents and purposes, looks like he's got potential.
Are you
work
talking
him out.
about Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick?
No. But I'm just saying.
Tebow.
I'm just saying, if you've got a proven guy, you can't say Reimer hasn't proven something to this point. He has. He took him to the playoffs.
Okay, but in a
Well,
25,
so don't you give him a
he
shot?
took him to the
It's an interesting
playoffs
point.
in a
The first regular
48
season
game
game?
It's
season.
an interesting point.
That's why I
48
said
game
Alex Smith
season.
and Colin Kaepernick.
Or maybe even a
And-
better example is right now is Mark Sanchez and Geno Smith, where a lot of the Jets players are saying they want Mark Sanchez as their starting quarterback next year. They think he should be, and yet Sanchez, did not have a great year. Geno Smith is the young guy coming in with all kinds of potential, and yet it sounds like they may go in the other direction.
Okay, Reimer played it was a short season. The Leafs had one of the top scoring teams in the league. They didn't have a defensive team. So, you know what? Reimer, yeah, he played okay, but he was not a standout, and he never looked like a top, confident goaltender.
Yeah, but you just said they didn't have a great defensive team. That tells you something about
No,
James
they
Reimer.
didn't know. What I'm saying is that they scored a lot of goals. Reimer
Yeah.
didn't have to win them games. The Reimer did not have to win them many games, if any. They won games because they outscored the other
In
team.
Reimer's
that
defense, he
series
did have a
against
good
Boston.
year. He had a good year.
He took him to 7 games. Pittsburgh couldn't even take him to 7 games.
Okay, that wasn't Reimer.
And you could say Pittsburgh was arguably the most explosive team.
I don't think that was Reimer had a couple of good games
what
in
I
that
find
series.
Interesting though is there is something about James Reimer that causes not only Leaf management but Leaf fans to be very reticent about how great he is.
Yeah.
What is it about the
Look,
guy?
because
Well,
we have
normally Leaf fans they
Yeah.
climb on the bandwagon
Yeah, that's true.
for crappy goalies.
That's true.
because we
This
are
is a good
No,
goalie.
but when you're used to seeing like Belfour and Cujo and Palmetier and Potvin, Reimer does not look like one of those goalies.
Yeah, but Potvin was never that.
he looked
from the
confident,
start.
and he was French. I told you, French
Yeah,
goalies
well-
are good. Okay.
But I mean, Reimer, I think the thing with Reimer is he came in, he wasn't highly touted,
The trade.
and he won them some games. I think that's the thing with Bernier. This is the new ticket. This is the what's at the top of the menu right now, and that's what people are excited about. He was a top pick, but that doesn't necessarily translate, like we said, into
And the
performance.
pressure that's going to be put on Bernier, because I think they're already calling him Bro Dernier, is going to be unbelievable. Because you know what the Leaf
Where
fans
do
are
you
like.
find this stuff?
But I
Yeah.
think Paris'
Leaf
point,
fans.
though, is a really interesting one. That it's always fascinating which guys just Leaf fans don't connect with, whether it's Larry Murphy Or, and, you know, like I think Reimer is in the same boat where they just don't seem to connect with him, despite the fact that really, what's the guy done?
Nothing.
That's been bad.
He just looks a lot like Gord McRae. He has like the big neck. It just doesn't look like a good goalie.
He
All
earned
he's
his
done is
stripes.
win.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Like he's the best goalie prospect they've developed in how long?
Yeah,
And
in
yet
10
you're
years.
ready to throw him under the bus.
Those
at the
3
drop of a
goals
hat.
in that last 11 minutes, Paris, must say a lot to
I'm not
Sandro.
sure there was much to separate Tuukka Rask from Reimer in that series.
No.
I think they had similar, statistics. They had similar,
I'm agreeing with you.
type, and yet Tuukka Rask has been universally praised.
Well, people are talking about how he could be the next best goalie in the league.
And
It's
they're
like,
talking about
Guys,
Conn
let's
Smythe.
face it, he's still playing. That's why you keep hearing his name.
Yeah.
The Leafs did have him too, you know.
So if there's a competition next year, and one guy wins it, does the other guy get traded, or do they keep both of these young 25-year-old goalies for the whole season? What do you think?
I think if they have what they think they have in Bernier, they're flipping Reimer.
I don't think anyone else is going to want Reimer.
You're
Wow.
so freaking crazy.
You really don't like
Okay.
Reimer. You really don't like him.
There's 20 teams in the league that would be interested
As
in
a
having
as a number one goalie,
No.
not a chance. Okay, so if
Package
you're
him
going to be a
with
number
Phaneuf
2,
and
you
get
might
a
as well stay here.
defenseman.
No. Guys who think that he could become their number one.
How old is James Reimer? He's
They're the same age. Him
Yeah.
and Bernier are the
Same
exact same
draft
age. Yeah.
so.
And you know what? This
24,
Bernier could make
25.
Reimer an even better goalie. You don't know what's going to happen
That's
until they
right.
get the
Yeah.
count.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch. All right, guys, good stuff. We'll go move on to our next topic.